So hello! Well, today I'd like to take a look at this, which is a book, one of my favourites. It's a part of the famous Hollywood film star actor David Niven's autobiography. Perhaps younger people wouldn't be familiar with David Niven so much nowadays, but I was. Obviously he was a lot older than me. But he was one of my most favourite film stars of all time. In actual fact, and a real gentleman. And well, if you want to grab yourself a copy, that's the information that you'll need. And yeah, so. But there's a brilliant piece of prose by E. Cummings, and it says, as you can see for yourself, who knows if the moon's a balloon coming out of the keen city in the sky filled with pretty people, and if you and I should get into it, if they should take me and take you in their balloon, why then we'd go up higher with all the pretty people, then houses and steeples and clouds go sailing, away and away sailing into a keen city which nobody's ever visited, where always it's spring and everyone's in love and flowers pick themselves. Wonderful. David Niven himself is a wonderful man, a brilliant actor, and he starred in so many top movies. Obviously I'll leave a link to him below. He was also an army officer, which gained my massive respect, and well, his life wasn't without tragedy, because there he is in 1915 with his father, just before his father went to Gallipoli, and he was sadly killed there. And well, my grandfather was in Gallipoli. He wasn't killed there, actually. He survived the First World War, and so I have a great empathy for that. And there is David Niven, the actor himself, only 18 years old. He was commissioned into the Highland Light Infantry, and there they are, walking down the street in their tartan trousers and their trousers. The officers always walk, so they never march, they just walk, you know, sort of officer class, I suppose, thing. So here he is in some of his sort of favourite, well, he starred with so many famous people, it was unbelievable. There would be too many to list, you know, but sort of Douglas Fairbanks Jr., little Laurence Olivier, Cary Grant, Merle Oberon. The list is just endless, because he was a major Hollywood star. There he is with Basil Rathbone, I see, Errol Flynn, in the movie Dawn Patrol in 1938. He wasn't without great sadness in his life as well, because his first wife, who he loved very, very much, Primmy, her name was, well, they were in some at some party, and they were playing hide and seek or something like that, and Primmy went into what she thought was a cupboard in this Hollywood producer's house and to hide, and in actual fact she ended up falling down the stairs and killing herself, which I can imagine how David must have felt. Very much so, because I lost my first wife to cancer, and I loved her very much as well. So here he is now in the Second World War, where this is no film. He's actually in it. You know, he was actually at Normandy, and this is his second wife, whose name was Eurydice. I know it's spelt Hordia, but it's pronounced Eurydice, and she was a model and a sort of a famous actress who later kind of just became a really nasty piece of work, in actual fact. She mostly down to alcohol, and yeah, she just criticised everything David Niven did, and there he is in another favourite movie of his, The Moon's a Balloon, or was it Around the World in 80 Days? Around the World in 80 Days, I tell a lie, sorry. And Guns of Navarone. I mean, the list is endless, as I say. I'll have to leave links, because you'll sort of, there's not enough time in this video to just to mention all his entire filmography. There's Yerdis with Noel Coward. Sorry, I better point at it, hadn't I? I mean, and there he is with Elizabeth Taylor. And he was also great friends with what was his name, the Count of Monte Carlo, you know, the Rainier, Prince Rainier, and his wife, the famous actress, whose name always slips my mind. She tragically died in a car accident. What was her name? Anyway, there's not enough time for me to get my silly head working, but I think they're all the photos. But I've also got the the abridged version of The Moon's a Balloon, which was narrated by David himself, and you can see the things going on there. I won't obviously waste your time reading through this, but he's a brilliant raconteur, David Niven, and a brilliant storyteller. As I say, another great not part of his autobiography was the Bring on the Empty Horses, it was called, and that was because it's so named because one of the famous Hollywood producers of the early 30s and 40s was, I think he was a Hungarian, and he hardly spoke a word of English, and so he would sort of bellow these big, strange commands out through a microphone, one of those old sort of passion tin ones, you know, a bellower, or whatever they call it. And in this one case, he yells out to the extras, "Bring on the empty horses," you know, and of course, what? I think he meant bring on the riderless horses, but that was his way of explaining it. And old Nibs tells a classic tale or two. I remember one specifically about a crab and a prawn that get engaged, and the prawn, the crab wants to meet the prawn's parents, you know, and the prawn says, "Oh, don't be ridiculous, you know, there's no way, you look ridiculous, you walk sideways, for Christ's sake, you know, how on earth can you meet my parents and they'll take you seriously?" And so anyway, the crab turns up, you know, in his tuxedo to meet the prawn's parents, and anyway, he's walking in a straight line, and the prawn says, "What's going on? What, you crab? You're walking straight, you know?" And the crab says to the prawn, "Shut up, I'm pissed." Brilliant! What a card! So I can anyway highly recommend The Moon's a Balloon by David Niven. As I say, it's an old book now, but it still tells a great tale. And everybody else, thanks ever so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I know I'm not doing as much on YouTube anymore. That's personal, but yeah, I always appreciate any watches that I get and comments. So very best wishes, and I hope. Well, I don't know when this will be. It'll be bound to be within New Year 2023. So happy New Year, and have a good one, guys and girls. All the very best wishes. Cheers.